He's a man, such a man, such a man. He's a real man's man. He's a man, such a man. Such a man. He's a real man's man. He's a real man's man.
Welcome back to ULTRASPECTICUS, a journey through classic Ultraman. Well, I might as well bring it up here. Yes, I am aware of the English dubs of Ultraman Zet and Ultraman Blazar, and they are glorious. But that's new stuff. Let's stick to the classics, okay? Well, last time Seven punched, chopped, and blasted his way through every alien who dared set foot on Earth. Will he do it again? Probably. In episode 21, Pursue the Undersea Base, a ship spots a shooting star which falls to Earth. Gee, I wonder what that could be. It wastes no time sinking the ship. The UG is alerted, and this is the most recent of many shipwrecks. Naturally, they head out in Ultrahawk to do recon. Dan returns with news that before the ship sank, they spotted the legendary battleship Yamato that sunk a long time ago. Now they know these are not regular accidents, like it ever is. Paris HQ alerts them that their ships have gone missing too in the Atlantic and Mediterranean. Furuhashi and Amagi go out in the Hydranger vehicle to look for the ship. They don't find the Yamato, but they do find something else. A strange star-shaped ship. That must be Patrick's getaway vehicle. Furuhashi then loses sight of it, though. Suddenly they're attacked. That thing from before that wrecked the ship reappears at a port while Kiriyama searches for the Hydranger in Ultrahawk. The supposed Yamato moves closer to land and fires off its cannons. And fires some ultra missiles from the pointer to draw its attention. Yes, ultra missile. Dan in Hawk 3 is shot down and lands in the drink. The TDF soon gets some intel on this ship. It's called Iron Rocks. It's a bomb robot that has sunken many ships but will explode after 15 minutes. Someone's controlling it though. But who? Kiriyama says they have to find a way to get it to safe distance before it explodes. Suddenly it begins to attack the mainland again. Dan wakes up after the crash and transforms. The alien controlling Iron Rocks introduces himself as Alien Mimi. Iron Rocks then chains up Seven and even fires on him before he can cut himself free with Eye Slugger.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Morley Safer.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Steve Croft.
I'm Leslie Stahl. Those stories and Andy Rooney tonight on this special edition of 60 Minutes.
Seven leaps into the air and spins so fast he cuts loose. He then blasts Iron Rocks to bits. Seven then saves the Hydranger and then shoots down the escaping ship for good measure. episode 22, Human Farms, Anne attends a birthday party for a friend while outside something is heading to shore. Oh great, another aquatic beast. Didn't we just deal with one of those? Whatever it is, it walks onto land. Anne hears a dog barking, but no one else cares. Then they hear it yelping in pain, and that gets their attention.
John! John! あら、ジョンのだわ。どうしたのかしら?
Aw hell, dead dog. And its name is John? Do I even have to make a John Wick joke here? I didn't think so. Whatever this monster is, it attacks the birthday girl with glowing green eyes. Anne looks for her, but only finds her pendant. She contacts Kiriyama and tells them what happened. The UG head there in a quickly way. They fan out and find footprints on the beach left by the monster. They take the pointer, which can hover apparently, and scour the waters. They probably put in that cheat code from GTA Vice City. The saucer from before rises out of the water, and we see the kidnapped birthday girl Ruriko trapped in a room with a bubble machine. Okay. Back at the base, the UG go over their findings. It seems this footprint has been found in other places of the world. They get a call saying the girl has been found. Anne is grateful to find Ruriko alive, but something is not right. They find some kind of parasite on her arm and later try to surgically remove it. It seems to have caused a disease that's causing her chromosomes to decrease rapidly. Ruriko is in pain, and Anne checks on her to find that she's a little green at the gills.
Well, suddenly I have a refreshing mint flavor.
The alien that infected her appears behind Anne. She screams for Dan, who finds her in the alien, and instead of transforming, he decides to waltz with it. Kiriyama, not being an idiot, shoots it. Anne begins to glow too. Guess she's Anne of Green Gables now. They operate on her next. The doctors discover that the parasites are really spores that are turning women into food for the aliens. It seems females are the perfect incubators for food. The two of them are quarantined immediately, and the doctors think the women can be saved if they're exposed to a radiation ray. Alpha 73. Ay, ay, ay. It's very risky, as the patients will not last another 15 hours if they don't get the treatment. The team goes in Ultrahawk to get it, but they're blocked by an armada of flying saucers. I guess that Project Blue from a few episodes ago didn't work, huh? They open fire on Ultrahawk, who return fire. Furuhashi contacts the base to tell them of the attacking armada. Dan and Kiriyama go out to help. Dan flies in head-on and gets shot down. Again. Thankfully, UltraSeven appears to help. Wink, wink. The others fly in to help to save him with a barrel roll. Okay then. They then start shooting down the rest of the ships. Why they didn't do that a minute ago is anyone's guess. Anyway, Seven gets the Alpha 73, which allows the doctors to cure the girls, and the UG wonder if Dan is okay after being shot down. Dan is fine. Of course. Dan is always fine. You'd think they learned by now. In episode 23, Search for Tomorrow, a man runs for his life when someone tried to run him over. Looks like a bellhop from a hotel. He runs into the UG and tells them that someone's trying to kill him. Suddenly the truck from earlier attempts a drive-by. Well, with a knife, not a gun. But it still works. The strange man reveals he has a crystal ball. It seems that he's a fortune teller who foresees that a warehouse will explode. Buddy, this is a Toku show. You're going to have to be a little bit more specific when it comes to warehouses. He also says Kiriyama will be injured. The others are skeptical, but Kiriyama believes him. He orders them to check out the O3 warehouse. It's important to the TDF, so he wants to make sure nothing happens to it. It seems this warehouse has a lot of missiles and explosives inside. No wonder it's in danger of blowing up. The fortune teller, Yasui, now sees the aliens landing on Earth. That's not a prediction, that's a spoiler. He thinks they are the ones who are after him. So, reluctantly, the UG go out to find the landing ship. Of course, they find Diddley. Manabe scolds Kiriyama for believing in such trivial matters. Now the UG decides it's time for Yasui to leave. He tries to convince them that his visions are true, but Kiriyama tells him to go to his apartment and stay there. When they drop him off, he's targeted again by that assassin from before. Kiriyama then puts in for a day of leave, telling Manabe that he'll search out these mysteries by himself. He gives him a gun to take with him. Smart. So he follows Yasui, who finds a woman crying, but of course, it's a trap. He gets kidnapped by the aliens after passing out in a taxi cab. Kiriyama looks around and then runs into Dan, who wants to help him find the fortune teller. Dan hears something strange, and sure enough, the O3 warehouse explodes, just as he said it would. Kiriyama is injured in the explosion, as predicted as well. Amagi reveals a new weapon that will render invisible enemies visible. They begin to search for the saucer again, but can't spot it, so they split up. Dan hears a strange sound again, and Amagi spots the alien with the new device. Dan grabs the invisible alien and throws him. They find the base and blast the inhabitants when they attack. Yasui tries to warn them of an ambush, but they can't hear him. They almost get buried in falling rubble, and Dan wakes up and transforms. Seven knocks the saucer out of the sky, and the aliens fake a surrender. But then they summon a monster for Seven to fight. They always do that. Seven lops its head off with Ice Slugger, ouch, and the aliens again fake a surrender. Yasui, who escaped, warns them that the monster isn't really dead. Its head is still very much alive.
Take my advice, pal. Quit while you're ahead.
The floating head bites Seven, and Yasui tries to tell him to smash the saucer. Seven manages to blast the ship, and the monster then melts. The others find Dan and Yasui safe. Now they all want their fortunes told, but Yasui says his ESP has inexplicably left him. Oh, what a crock of... In episode 24, Return to the North, Furuhashi visits his home when he finds out his mother is sick. His little sister reveals that was a trick to get him home. Wow, that is just cruel. She wants him to quit the UG and take over the family farm. Furuhashi fakes car trouble and ditches his sister, telling her to say hi to Mom. Wow, and I thought I didn't like being around my family.
その頃、遥か北極上空をパトロール中だった地球防衛軍のジェット機に信じられない異変が起こっていた。北極圏パトロール機より基地管制塔へ航行機に異常あり。こちら JA130 の方へただいま操縦不能そちらのコースを変えてください。
Oops. Kiriyama is ordered to investigate this accident, and to make matters worse, his mother is visiting right now.
今着いたんだよ。
出てきちゃったんですよ。
Oh boy, we're going into sitcom plot territory here. Furuhashi tells Dan to take care of his mom while he returns to the scene of the crime. Something causes the autopilot to malfunction. His mom tells the UG that she's here to take her son away back to the farm and make him quit, and alerts Dan that Furuhashi's in danger. Some strange colored lights emit from a lighthouse which causes the same event that happened before. A commercial aircraft flies into the trap and they lose control.
空路から外れてるぞ。一体どういうわけなのかわけがわかりません。突然操縦不能になったんです。前方から防衛軍のジェット機が来てるんだぞ。
大丈夫です。落ち着いてください。ご心配なく。
このまま行けば古橋のフォーク3号と旅客機は正面衝突だな。旅客機には300人の観光団が乗ってるそうです。300人。
Furuhashi is ordered to self-destruct and escape immediately, but his ejection system isn't working. Kiriyama asks Anne to bring Furuhashi's mom to the strategy room. The clock is ticking for Furuhashi. Dan gets in Ultra Hawk 1 to help, but he gets blasted by the lighthouse laser too. The aliens controlling it realize the TDF are now onto them. Furuhashi goes to chat with his mom and they have a tender moment. His mother sees how hard everyone is working and begins to rethink her stance. Dan lands nearby the lighthouse and summons Wyndham to attack it. The aliens chuckle and blast it with their laser. This causes Wyndham to turn on Dan. Uh-oh. It opens fire on Dan, who transforms. Seven shrugs off this robot chicken's attack and beats him down. Wyndham runs around in a circle, good thing it's a robot or it'd be throwing up by now. Then it collapses and Seven repairs his electronic brain, so now he's good again. Until the alien blasts him yet again. They try to blast Seven too, but he blocks it. He brings Wyndham back to capsule form and the aliens try to get away in their lighthouse, which conveniently was a rocket this whole time. Clever. Seven blasts them out of the sky, which fixes the machines and allows Furuhashi not only to miss the plane, but turn off the self-destruct device. All is well again. Furuhashi returns, but his mom already went back home. Kiriyama tells him to go back on patrol, but in Hokkaido, where his mother lives. He hears his mom apologizing for trying to control his life. She approves of his choice to be in the UG. Good for her. In episode 25, Showdown at 140 degrees below zero, a cloud engulfs the sky, bringing winter weather down hard. This is bad for Dan as he is weak against cold weather. He knows that this is no ordinary blizzard. The TDF begin to investigate this unnatural cold front moving in. Dan calls the base to tell them that the pointer is stalled out due to the cold. Kiriyama tells him to leave it and head for the base on foot. Same old winter work ethic from the boss. It's the second ice age outside, but you're still coming into work, right? Management. Suddenly the base shakes and the power goes out. The reactor's down, rendering the base without any power. Amagi and Furuhashi go to check it out as Dan trudges through the snow. The narrator points out that the beings from Nebula M78 are susceptible to cold. No wonder they came to Earth. Global warming is out of control here. It's frickin' November here and it's still hot as hell outside. I kid you not.
ウルトラセブンにも弱点があった。光の国 M78 星雲から来た彼は普通の人間以上に寒さに弱かったのだ。
Back at the base, the UG struggle to get the power back on. It'll take all the manpower to get it working. Down in the basement, a huge mouth appears and breathes on them. I think they found what knocked out the power. The UG can't use any of their vehicles as the doors are all sealed thanks to the power being off. The higher-ups tell them they must evacuate the place as it's getting colder inside. Dan struggles to get to base but collapses from the cold. It seems the monster's body is breathing very cold air that's freezing the base inside. Dan hears Ann yelling and tries to get up. He then sees the ones responsible for all of this. The Hot Dog Men!
We interrupt this transmission. We are the Hot Dog Men. Our planet is in danger. We need your assistance. Does anyone have a Phillips screwdriver?
Now, get lost!
Nah, just kidding. It's Alien Pole. Fear the puppets on strings. Mwahahaha! They also take responsibility for the Ice Age. They tell him they froze the base and all his teammates are doomed. Dan tries to transform, but his Ultra Eye is missing. Seems he dropped it in the snow. Seriously, Dan, you've got to get a glasses strap or case for that thing. This keeps happening. They're like $10 at Walmart. Come on, man. Back at the base, the monster has seemingly vanished, so the UG scrambles to get the power back on. Dan frantically searches for his Ultra Eye, but he's looking for a needle in a haystack. The alien pole thingies taunt him by saying his solar energy will be gone in a matter of minutes. At the same time, a giant monster appears. It flies overhead and Dan summons Miklos to attack it. The two then, do-si-do, then fight for real. It seems hopeless at the base, and Manabe reluctantly orders that the base be evacuated. I thought they already were evacuating. Oh, whatever. Miklos and this giant monster Gandar trade breath attacks. Gandar sounds like a 60s Hanna-Barbera monster. Dan finally finds his Ultra Eye and transforms. He has no energy to fight with, so he uses the rest of his strength to fly to the sun and recharge his energy. Kiriyama gives the order to evacuate after Manabe collapses. Seriously, are they evacuating or not? Seven then takes a page out of Superman's book and takes a solar bath while Miklos is beaten down. The UG take Ultra Hawk out and split it into 3 to fight Gandar. They open fire on the monster and it flies after them. Seven appears and fights Gandar, slicing it to bits with Eye Slugger. The alien pole decide to retreat, but warn him they know his weakness now and they'll be ready next time. Seven becomes Dan again and returns Miklos to capsule form. So I guess the base is just Fubar now, or do they fix it, or... It's never explained. I'm gonna go with yes. In episode 26, Super Weapon R1, a new destructive weapon is being constructed at the TDF base. It will apparently have the attack power of 8,000 hydrogen bombs. The UG all seem to be excited about this new weapon, except Dan. The others think this will protect their planet from future invasions, but Dan thinks this is a terrible idea. Dan Murabushi, ladies and gentlemen, not an idiot. He says this is not needed and will only invite more stronger attacks from aliens. Oh, and the Earth might destroy itself because, well, we're all freaking stupid.
We're not gonna make it, are we? People, I mean.
It's in your nature to destroy yourselves.
Yeah. Major drag, huh?
よし。おい、だ。一体どこへ行くんだ。参謀にお願いしてきます。実験の中止を。バカ、よさないか。話してください。待て。いいから入れ。どうしたんだ、だ。
何かあったの？
いや、忘れなだ。地球は狙われているんだ。今の我々の力では守りきれないような強大な侵略者がきっと現れる。その時のために
超兵器が必要なんですね。決まってるじゃないか。侵略者は超兵器に対抗してもっと強烈な破壊兵器を作りますよ。我々はそれよりも強力な兵器をまた作ればいいじゃないか。それは血を吐きながら続ける悲しいマラソンですよ。
Kiriyama is told that the base is already planning an R2 that will be even stronger, once R1 is successfully tested.
あの星でしたら地球への影響は全くありません。それに生物もいません。
生物がいないというのは確実なんですか？
ええ、大丈夫です。
The tests go well and the planet is annihilated. Soon after, they notice a blip on the radar. A piece of Gyron is headed to Earth. It seems the planet was inhabited after all. The observational craft reports the emergency to the TDF. They spot the falling object and head out in Ultrahawk. Dan and Fudarashi head out to spot it, and Dan rethinks why he's protecting the Earth. Why is he protecting a planet that can make weapons to wipe out other planets? You know, the man brings up a good point. They then spot a giant monster heading their way. This monster, Star Bem Gyron, gets away. The TDF discover this beast mutated from the blast of R1's attack, and it is mad. A giant monster awakened by nuclear bombs, huh? Sounds familiar. Ultrahawk 2 is loaded up with new bombs while this monster heads to Earth. Hawk 2 heads out and drops the bombs on the monster, blowing it to bits. They return to base and everyone thinks it went down a bit too easy. Sure enough, the beast was only liquidated and begins to regenerate like the T-1000. They're alerted that Gyron is back and is headed for Tokyo. They go out again with Hawk 1 and 3 and open fire. The beast spews its chronic halitosis, which is radioactive. That's bad. And the scientists want to use R2 to kill it. The Hawks unload on this thing, which doesn't do squat. It fires back with electro rings. Yes, electro rings. Hawk 1 is down. The UG run from its radioactive breath, and Dan breaks away from the group to transform. 7 attacks Gyron, who flashes him. It blocks the eye slugger with its tough metallic arms. 7's hand gets injured, so he, pumps up. He goes in and locks up with Gyron and rips his arms off. Yee, ouch! He then slices its neck with eye slugger. Damn! That was brutal! The scientist apologizes for what she did involving R1 and Planet Gyron. They later find an injured Dan and tell him that R1 will be cancelled immediately. Well, looks like the humans can learn from their mistakes. Okay, before we get to the highlight reel, I have to tell you all this. Like episode 12 of UltraSeven, this episode was also banned in Japan, due to the Fukushima nuclear disaster. An episode about hydrogen bombing and a monster destroying a power plant are key reasons why you will not see this episode in Japan. Here you can see it just fine, but in Japan, it's gone. In episode 27, Operation Cyborg, a meteor falls to Earth. The next morning, a married couple chat about their friend Soga. Suddenly, an alien ship rises out of the swamp and pulls their car in. The girl is found, but the husband is not. The UG get a call about it, and Soga wants to find out what happened to his friend. He and Dan go to the girl, who calls out for her husband, Nogawa. Dan offers to take her back to base, while Soga stays and looks for his friend. Soga finds a trail leading to the swamp and wonders if he was dragged in. The UG go out in a raft and even go scuba diving, but no trace of Nogawa is found. Kiriyama extends the search to other places. Back on the alien ship, Nogawa is subjected to some kind of alien tests. One of them says that he will live to serve their purpose. He was chosen by the alien Borg. Wait, the Borg is behind this?
We are Borg. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile.
The alien woman throws a lever which causes some flashes of light. She then releases the now brainwashed Nogawa back out into the world. He returns to his girl and he says that he obtained a new job in secrecy and bids her goodbye. She goes after him, but he disappears. Nogawa returns to the TDF base and Soga is happy to see him. Dan knows something is off about him immediately. Sure enough, he finds a bunch of bodies and hits the alarm. When they try to corner him, he runs. Dan uses his Ultra Vision to look for him. Nogawa begins to plant bombs all around the base. He says that resistance is futile and they will be assimilated. And by that I mean blown up. Dan tries to subdue Nogawa, but his hits do no damage. Nogawa runs for it, but Soga hits him with a tranq bullet, knocking him out. They check on Dan and discover the bombs he had on him. The team begin to sweep the base for the rest of them. Dan rests, unaware that one of the bombs is attached to his boot. The doctors discover that, no surprise, Nogawa was replaced by a cyborg. The team finds all the bombs but one. Nogawa mutters a clue about where the aliens may be, so Ann and Kiriyama head out in Ultra Hawk 1. They drop a thermal bomb into the swamp, causing the alien ship to surface. They then open fire on it. The alien woman appears in base and knocks out everyone. She says the one remaining bomb will wipe out the base, but Nogawa failed them. She goes to kill him, but Dan shoots her. The now giant-sized alien Borg appears and Seven attacks it. She says the last bomb is attached to him. Idiot, why'd you give away its location? You had him! Well, before it goes off, he pulls it off and throws it. Seven uses Eye Slugger to cut her head off and down she goes. Ouch. Nogawa and his girl Sane get married for real this time. The UG is there to wish them well. Mazel tov.
残りの一つはお前につけてあったのだ。
In episode 28, the 700-kilometer run, the whole gang has the day off. Dan and Ann enjoy the little teacup ride. Good choice.
I always liked the little teacup ride.
Meanwhile, a new weapon is being worked on called Spiner. More destructive than nitroglycerin. The UG are ordered to guard this new concoction, so I guess the day off is over. Dan has an idea to transport it via a race car. This seems incredibly foolish and dangerous, so of course they do it. The race rally begins, and Dan with Amagi begin the cross-country transport. This won't end well. Soon they're attacked by other drivers. Either they want to steal it or destroy it. You know, this is starting to remind me of a certain movie. Any Mystery Science Theater fans in the audience? This is starting to sound a lot like that movie Riding with Death, which is one of my favorite episodes. In that movie, they're also transporting a dangerous liquid that could explode if it's mishandled. I'm getting a lot of flashbacks to that here. I'm starting to wonder if they got the idea from UltraSeven. Wouldn't that be weird? Okay, I'm getting off topic, sorry. Back to the episode. They then get shot at by a sniper with a machine gun. Dan is able to kill the sniper, who, disintegrates. Amagi is wounded in the gunfire and seems to have PTSD. He tells Dan of a past experience that reminds him of this. Dan reassures him that they'll be alright. That night, Dan and Amagi travel on foot when they find Kiriyama and the others. Well, that's convenient. Soga hears another assassin and opens fire. Amagi begs his boss to find another driver since he can't take the pressure anymore.
しまった。資源爆弾を仕掛けられた。それだ。爆発すると。資源装置を外します。避難してください。天城。 お前がやれ。隊長、天城隊が疲れています。命令だ。できません。時間がない。早くやる。
They discover somebody planted a time bomb in the car and he orders Amagi to get it out of there. Again, this is starting to sound like Riding with Death, because in the second half of that movie, there was a race car that they were driving which also had an explosive in it. This cannot be a coincidence, folks. Again, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. Amagi reluctantly yet successfully disarms the bomb. The next morning, they're almost to the rendezvous point, and Kiriyama tells Furuhashi to take over. But Amagi assures him he can finish the mission himself. He and Dan ride out to finish the job as two helicopters appear overhead with a giant magnet/hot air balloon that lifts the car into the air. Dan wants to transform but can't with Amagi around. Amagi blasts one of the choppers out of the sky. Good thing they installed a laser in this car too. Kiriyama orders Soga to shoot the balloon. He hits it and the car falls. Thankfully it has air brakes. Did Acme build this thing? Apparently this car follows Looney Tunes laws. The mission ends in a success as the package is dropped off. Kiriyama congratulates Amagi on seeing it through. Meanwhile, the Spiner tests are about to begin. That is, until a giant monster appears. It's a dinosaur. No, it's a tank. It's a dino tank. Sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon from the 90s. Anyway, this dino tank has the Spiner in its mouth. Kiriyama calls Dan but gets no response. The dino tank heads to the testing lab. Have I mentioned that this show is kinda silly? UltraSeven busts out of the ground to stop the dino tank in its tracks. Amagi gets the rest to safety, but no one can find Dan. Gee, I wonder where he could be. The tank fires its cannons at Seven next. He then mounts it. Yippee-ki-yay! It drops the Spiner, which Seven tries to grab before it goes off. He then pulls a Roy Scheider from Jaws, using the case to blow Dino Tank to pieces. Smile, you son of a... The UG finds Dan buried in rubble and carry him off on a stretcher. Give this man an Oscar for all the acting he has to do to hide his identity, people. I mean, God. In episode 29, The Earthling All Alone, a new scientific exploration satellite is being prepared. Soga seems happy about it and goes to visit someone working on the project named Saiko. She's Soga's fiancée. Oh, Soga, you sly minx. Meanwhile, some shady characters and his assistant are walking around. Professor Niwa. She seems to trust him, but Soga thinks he may be an alien spy. He probably is after she saw some kind of shadow that tried to attack her. Again, didn't we already do that? The show's lapping itself. It seems she had a friend who tailed Niwa as they think he was an alien spy as well. She asks Niwa's assistant who pulled off the road and confronts her. He wants to know how she knew he was a spy. He tells her that the aliens are always seen as invaders and he doesn't trust them. Suddenly the pointer drives up and he runs for it. Soga confronts Niwa, who finally says that he is an alien. Alien Prote from the Sirius star system. Now it's probably known as Sirius XM. Niwa denies this at first, but Soga opens fire on him, which does nothing. Thank God he was right, or he would have killed an innocent man. Niwa then shocks Soga, knocking him out. When they can't reach him, Kiriyama orders the others to find him. Amagi and Furuhashi go with Kiriyama and Ultra Hawk 2 to investigate that satellite. Niwa alerts them that the TDF are coming. He then connects Soga to a memory drainer that will soon know all of his secrets, because he just had one of those laying around. Niwa returns and his assistant tells him that the UG is onto them. Niwa reveals that the satellite is indeed a spy sat made to conquer the Earth and gather intel on the TDF. These alien guys really need to get a new hobby. The young man has a change of heart after hearing these plans and wants out. Dan finds the locked door and uses his gun to cut it open. He sees the alien probe and transforms. They take the fight outside and go giant-sized. Both put up their dukes, but the alien disappears. Seven then gets thrown around. Seems Probe can turn invisible and or teleport. Didn't we make some kind of device that could make invisible aliens visible? Or have we just forgotten about that too? Seven then sees two of him and he can't see which one is the real one. The Ultra Hawk 2 catches up to the satellite, which is grabbed by an alien ship. Seven then gets wrapped up in a laser rope and Seven retaliates with Ultra Beam. At the same time, the real alien Prote/Niwa goes back to the teleporter when his assistant tries to teleport with him. But Niwa says you can't teleport two at once, but it does anyway.
Surprise!
The big fake vanishes and Seven flies out to the satellite. He takes it off the alien spaceship and returns back to Earth. Ultra Hawk 2 blasts the alien ship to bits while Soga wonders what happened to that young scholar who disappeared with Niwa. You want to tell him or should I? In episode 30, Glory for Whom, a new vehicle lands right as the UG prepares for field training. Kiriyama tells them that this will feel like a real fight. A newcomer appears and shows off his impressive marksmanship. The new guy laughs at their shooting skills and seems to be very cocky. The new guy introduces himself as Aoki. Wait, isn't that guy a DJ? Manabe later says that he'll be working with them. When they hear news of an alien attack, which is actually training in disguise, Aoki tells them that he can handle it. Manabe orders Furuhashi to go with him. Aoki does his best Maverick impression by showing off and being a daredevil during flight. Sure you don't want to buzz the TDF tower while you're at it there, Hotshot? Dan is not impressed, but the higher-ups are. He tells Aoki to go with him to keep him in line. Aoki tries to find the aliens before Dan and goes off alone. He spots something coming out of the ground, and it's the landing vehicle from before. He uses the cannons to open fire. Dan catches up and gives him an earful for going out alone. Kiriyama tells the others that field training will continue despite this alert. Aoki implants a transmitter that will alert the enemy to where the magma riser is. Hey, whose side are you on, pal? When Dan and Aoki get there the next day, they find the magma riser has been stolen. Even worse, the ship is using live ammo. Many soldiers will get hurt, or worse. The new vehicle appears and the UG decide to recover the magma riser. Aoki wants to recover the magma riser and Kiriyama okays it. He orders Furuhashi and Dan to go with him. He again tries to run in head first without thinking. They almost get hit and Dan is knocked out. This gives Aoki the chance he needs to try and take magma riser back. However, he gets hit by stray fire. Dan gets up and uses a grenade to get aboard, unaware that there's an alien inside. He transforms and faces the monster, Alien Platic. Aw, it's got little cat ears, adorable. Seven tackles it and beats it down. I'm guessing that fight took a lot out of the both of them as they struggle to keep fighting. Seven's headlight, usually called the beam lamp, which is more or less UltraSeven's version of the color timer, begins to blink. He then uses his head laser, I know, it's officially called the Amerium beam, nerds, to fry Platic. Dan asks Aoki what he was thinking for being a glory hog like that. He then admits that he was the one that got magma riser stolen. Dan rightfully smacks him for the lives lost because of his foolishness, and Aoki shoots the skeletal Platic that gets up. He then passes away from his wounds. Well, that's kind of a downer ending. I guess that kid learned his lesson the hard way.
いや。青木、だったら生き抜いてその償いをするんだ。ダンサー、これがあなたへの償いです。青木！青木！
Well, that's it for now. Check back next time when we'll see disappearing buildings, one very deadly flower, and we'll witness the first ever crucified Ultraman. Don't ask. If you know, you know. And I'll see you in the land of light.
What a man.